please.
Greetings and salutations. This is Cage's Kids, the ultimate Cage cast, where we discuss each of the National Treasure's cinematic masterpieces in his life. We also try to glean whatever kernels of wisdom we can get from his character that week, but that wouldn't be prudent. I'm George Herbert Walker Bush, but you can call me Adrian.
I'm Linda Castro, but you can call me the Cheese, or Ace.
And I'm Lifetime Movie Network's Donnie.
Must be beer 30 where you are.
No. This would be an Almer Palmer iced tea, which I will be combining with some tea liqueur, because it's life.
God damn it, my rum's in the other room. I feel so naked right now.
Not Without My Drinkin', starring Donnie Roberts.
Viewers at home, you're going to need your drinking, because this week's it's 1990s Firebirds.
Yes, which felt like a Lifetime Movie Network starring Nick Cage.
Although somehow shorter. In fact, this might be the shortest full-length movie we've done. I think it's only 83 minutes.
It felt like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Well, I went through it a lot, and you know, it's just like how for no reason at all I watched the movie Black Rain like 10 different times because I keep banging my head up against it, being like, "There's got to be something in there. There's no way this is all there is. It's not possible." And
this means something.
Right, but no,
there's gotta be something.
No, there's no prize at the bottom of the box of Cracker Jacks. Now Firebirds is a movie that I've always actually thought fairly well of, because I mean it's fucking goofy as shit. I mean it's Nicolas Cage and Tommy Lee Jones and Sean Young doing a helicopter pilot Top Gun where they win the war on drugs.
They're just goofing.
And Nicolas Cage says stuff like, "That was totally cool." And, "I am the greatest! I am the greatest! It's like, "Son, you're going to step here,
totally
here,
cool.
here, and not here.
Marry that thing."
I give away the bride. That's right. What we have here, son, is 2 Oscar-winning actors doing the thing that won them Oscars before they won the Oscars in 1990. Tommy Lee Jones, pre-Fugitive, got a lot of Fugitive-style speeches. And Nicolas Cage doing the Nicolas Cage thing as usual.
Yeah.
Although, admittedly, sort of having less to work with sometimes.
Yeah, just like the soundtrack. There was a lot lacking there.
So, here's a weird thing about the fucking soundtrack, though. Despite the fact that this has 0 Kenny Loggins, which is unforgettable for any unforgivable, you know, for any movie ever.
There was no going into a zone.
Every soundtrack needs to have at least 1 Kenny Loggins. That's a bare minimum. Then you got to have some Sammy Hagar. And you gotta have some Stevie Nicks, and from there, I don't know, Cheap Trick, you know, like, you gotta have that kind of shit, man. You know, but Stan Bush, you know, like, you got the touch! You got the power! Now, what we do have actually has an odd connection to my personal life. So this movie came out in May of 1990, and the only real soundtrack, apart from David Newman's lackluster score, where he tries to sound like Harold Faltermeyer, there are 2 different songs from Phil Collins off of his 1989 album But Seriously, which had come out in November. This album, actually, I had it when I was a kid. And the first form I had it in is I had it on one side of a cassette. This mother from church, like, she's like, "Oh, you like Phil Collins?" And she gave me a cassette where the first side was the first side of But Seriously, and the other side was the first side of the fucking New Kids on the Block album from that year.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I'm like this little kid in fucking like 1st or 2nd grade being like, "Yeah, find a way to my heart. All right."
I thought you were going to say that this movie related to you in real life because you also believe that strawberry gum is delicious.
It's delicious. Yeah, no, yeah. Oh, yeah, and there's nothing better than fucking chewing gum. It loses its flavor instantly. It makes your mouth feel weird, and then you got to spit it out somewhere, like into an ashtray or the bottom of a theater seat. Yeah, gum. It's like, oh, you watching your figure there? Yeah, pretty ballerina with your budding bosoms. Yeah. Maybe you should get some candy like a man. Yeah, you ever think about that? Maybe just a little. Jeez. Fucking college boy.
We should say that you can watch this movie for free on
Okay,
YouTube.
yeah, we didn't pay for this one this time, and we're
No.
all glad that we didn't pay for it. Even though I own this on
Hell yeah.
VHS, I wasn't about to finish it out. We watched this in its entirety on YouTube. It's uncut. It's all there. This movie is directed by a guy named David Green. He is a British guy. He is not David Gordon Green, so get that thought right out of your head right now. So he's more of I think he's more of a studio exec guy than a director, even though he directed a lot of television stuff. But before this, he did a British movie, which I actually also have a connection to. It's a British movie called Buster, which stars Phil Collins,
Oh,
which I bought on VHS because, as you could tell when I was a kid, I had a little Phil Collins obsession.
Did you used to hear a voice telling you, please take me home?
and you're like, okay.
Here she coming, call my name. Yeah, his career peaked in 1985, but I kept listening. That Buster also has some Phil Collins on the soundtrack, even though Phil Collins is like, no, don't put me on the soundtrack. I want to be considered as an actor mostly, you know.
Yeah.
So our writer, one of the writers was a guy named Nick Thiel, who wrote The Experts with John Travolta, which is the movie that was like his return to movies in 1989 after Perfect sort of submarined his career forever. He also wrote V.I. Warshawski, and we all know how good that is.
Oh,
And he mostly did television. Paul F. Edwards, the other writer, just did television. These guys are strictly TV writers, and we
Who
can
should
see
have
why
been
they're
Paul
fucking
F.
sucker.
Tompkins. Would have been a better movie.
Like, Jim Cash and Jack Epps, like their career kind of nosedived in the late 80s. They could have just got them like over again and be like, do another Top Gun. Come on now.
True.
Yeah.
Cinematography was by a guy named Tony Imme, not to be confused with Tony Iommi. Tony Imme shot the famously bad Wired, where Michael Chitlin's plays John Belushi. I know his name's Chickless, but I don't call him that. Also shot Enemy Mine and that Roger Moore oil platform hostage thing, folks. I already mentioned David Newman, the composer, who mostly did comedy scores. He did the score to Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
It kind of showed.
Yeah, that wasn't the worst thing about the picture.
No, it was just like most 90s. It had kind of a whimsical, odd sound.
I kind of, it almost might have been better if they'd waited until about 92 until the aesthetic cycled around again, because like 1989 was strong and 92 was strong in between. You sort of have a doldrums depending on who it is. Like if David Green had not been just like sort of a shill and like had been like somebody like a little bit more of a product, creator, like Tony Scott say, like they could have had something going on. So Sean Young is the love interest in this one. She is also a helicopter pilot. The little woman's given something to do. She's actually older than Cage. She was born in 1959. Her big break, we all know, was Blade Runner.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, fucking Blade Runner, yeah. But she was also in Stripes the year before, smaller parts. In David Lynch's Dune, she has a smaller part.
Oh yeah.
Because she wasn't from Virginia Madsen or whoever else.
Sadly.
And she was originally cast as Vicky Vale in Tim Burton's 1989 Batman, which is the best Batman movie ever. Yes, that was.
Hell yeah,
and so that movie originally contained a riding scene, a horseback riding scene, and during rehearsals for this scene, unfortunately, Sean Young fell from the horse and I think broke her collarbone.
Damn.
Or maybe it was her arm. She broke something. So she wound up not being able to complete the picture. That's when fucking Kim Basinger got cast. Well, she was a little pissed about being left out of that. And she really, really, really wanted to be in Batman Returns in 92. She really wanted to be Catwoman. She, because... as opposed to Skeletor, who got cast there. Yeah. Pfeiffer. I call her Skeletor. And so
We're sorry, Miss Pfeiffer.
she kept trying to like call up Michael Keaton and Tim Burton. It's just like, "Meow, I'm your Catwoman." Meow. And apparently she went on a
You
talk
have
show
got to
too,
be
where she
kidding me
had
right meow.
They're like,
she made her own Catwoman like mask thing, and she went on a talk show wearing it, like trying to lobby for the part. She's like,
oh my.
you know, even if I was cast, it'd be less embarrassing than Halle Berry.
Ma'am, stop bathing yourself. It's kind of disturbing.
No. Keep going.
Poor
Keep
Sean
going.
Young. But you know, she was in a TV movie that Russell Mulcahy did with Michael Caine called Blue Ice that I thought was pretty good. I don't know if you guys ever saw that one. And that one, Michael Caine is kind of like an aging, like former secret agent guy, like, you know, who gets embroiled in a plot with like somebody's like senator's wife or some shit, and like, you know, there's murder. And,
Yeah.
you know. It's Russell Mulcahy. It's highly stylized. Maybe they should have got Mulcahy to make this movie. Then it would have, you know, been something. I'm sort of in the Top Gun camp, you know, and I'm definitely in the Tony Scott camp. That like Top Gun is a precious movie, especially like if you look into like the way it was made, and if you've given it multiple viewings, you realize that movie is a brilliant achievement of editing. Because what they've got is they've got their high quality models. Like anytime a plane explodes, it's just a really great big plane model, and that footage gets reused in all kinds of different shit.
And that soundtrack.
And the fucking soundtrack, yeah.
This would have been
Although
prime
it's
for
what-
Larry Cohen.
But so for Top Gun, they've got footage of a bunch of different kinds of planes in the air, and if you're actually like paying attention, like during a battle scene, like the identity of Maverick, Tom Cruise's plane there, changes several times. There's like reverse shots, there's like all kinds of inserts, but it's all cut together so fast, and there's all that dialogue and all that pulse pounding soundtrack that it all just works. You know, you're not looking for a gap to fall into because you're caught up in it, and there's a series of cuts, and like it's designed to be this montage. You know, everything's a montage with Tony Scott. And so, like, you know, it would never matter. It would never matter whether the technical details were correct. Sometimes it's just random shots of a fucking Gatling gun going off on a black background, which is incidentally the kind of guns those planes have. But you know, but it all works, you know, because it's of a piece, you know. It's brilliant editing. One of the criticisms that people levied against Firebirds was that the aerial combat scenes were, quote, confusing. There's not much to them, so I don't know where they found room to get confused, really. Apparently that's where most of the technical work was spent on this film, though. They had 100 different crew members just for the aerial combat shit. I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
Oof. No, I was going to say, I thought they would have been confused at how the cartel could afford their own personal air force as well.
Yeah, so they got that Scorpion helicopter, which is like the fastest, deadliest helicopter in the world, apart from, of course, from the Apache. And they got two jets. So
yes.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about this movie. It's like, you know, Top Gun, you got a couple of different and it's a Cold War thing. You know, it's 86, Reagan era. So you got a couple of different encounters with the Russians, you know, planes blow up, you know, but you know, the other side denies the incident. Yay. It's Cold War. This will never escalate or really be interesting. You know.
Well, it just feels like this was part of that subgenre that just started popping up with Top Gun, where you also had Flight of the Intruder.
Fuck yeah, Flight of the Intruder. Flight of the Intruder. So I'm glad you mentioned that one. So Firebirds is the movie where we win the war on drugs. Flight of the Intruder is the movie where we win Vietnam. Although Flight of the Intruder, like this one has helicopters, that one's also distinct in that it's not fighters, it's bombers.
True.
Yeah, making bombers heroic is quite a stretch, but it is by John Milius, and he is insane. So.
And fighters we got in Iron Eagle.
Iron Eagle, right? Which was like that was like the Deep Impact to Top Gun's Armageddon. So that one actually managed to get into theaters first. And despite the fact that it has 3 sequels, it's somehow less appreciated. I don't know why.
Yeah.
You got to be like an Iron Eagle.
Still kind of on the subject of Top Gun. This last weekend, you know, I kind of nerded out and went to UFO Fest.
Ooh.
And I got the chance to meet Commander David Fravor, who's known as one of the witnesses for the Tic Tac UFO video that came out in 2017. Mm-hmm. It's a big deal in the ufology field. But anyway, he was an actual graduate of Top Gun. And he said that with the movie Top Gun, there were only 2 things that were actually accurate. One being that there is such a thing as Top Gun, and two, that they have planes.
It
So
doesn't.
that's about it.
It doesn't fucking matter though. The plaque for the alternates is in the ladies' room.
He was Goose.
Take me to bed or lose me forever.
He did bring up a good point, because you know that they're going to make the sequel to Top Gun, and they're working on it right now. And he said that usually they try to retire pilots in their 30s. So what is, like, Tom Cruise is like, what, in his 50s now?
Because the script says he has to be there.
Yeah, well, like, I don't know what the hell he's going to be doing, but whatever.
Well, I don't know what a UFOologist has to do anything with Hollywood, so he can just shut his damn mouth.
You know
He's
what?
not a
You know what?
ufologist.
I don't need
He's
fucking.
he's-
I don't need accuracy because I got sweet freaking aerial combat scenes. I'm not leaving my wingman. 10 minutes. This
anyway.
thing's gonna be over 2 minutes.
We also have Top Gun to blame for breaking up Berlin. So
You know, Take
It was the
My
beginning, yeah.
Breath Away was their worst song. I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah.
I'm like, how come you never hear fucking No More Words on the radio? No More Words was fucking
oh my
epic.
god, yes.
God damn it.
If we're going to talk about music, can we talk about this one having the worst rendition of a really fun song?
Which one was that?
Hanging out with my friends.
I would have to say the one that Cage joined in and singing. It just sounded completely just unenthusiastic to the nth degree.
Yeah, there's a. Hey, do we know what the fuck was going on with Cage at this point in 1989 or 1990?
That's what I'm kind of hoping Linda can.
Yeah,
enlighten
give us
because,
a
goddamn.
yeah, you know, like because he cages out sometimes, and other times kind of like, I'm going to kill him now.
I'm glad you asked. And there was a good reason for that. And he flat out said that he basically just did this for the money. He needed to pay off his castle. And he said, quote, I needed the money. I admit it. I was not being true to my instincts, but I felt like I wanted to do a role which was this straight American character. And I suppose I wish I hadn't done it, but in the end, it was worth it. I've always made myself spend too much money to force myself to work. I think I'm afraid of being too comfortable, but what I buy are objects, and they're to be respected and appreciated. But they're not to be worshipped. But no matter how
he just
beautiful,
wanted to wear panties on his head.
right?
You know,
He says,
real failure in the writing, not having the appropriate panty connection. That should have been the same pair of panties that Sean Young threw at him in the laundry room.
Yeah,
That's what I was thinking. But
Right?
then, you know, there's
this script
there's also
has all the
another
pieces.
scene.
They're just not connected together. It's like, God damn it. Okay, so some very
hold on.
basic problems with writing, though. I'm just, have we mentioned Dale Dye yet?
I don't think so.
No.
But you were saying,
Yeah, there was another continuity issue where, like, she was wearing, I think, like a black skirt and a white top, or like a dress that was white on top and black on bottom, and then they go to celebrate his passing the what was it called, the bag or whatever.
The bag, yeah.
And then they have a voiceover to explain why she's wearing something different. She's like, well, why did you change?
Because
it's easier to get out of.
Yeah. Oh, that's why that.
episode,
I
the role of
thought
so-and-so.
she was being like Dean Martin and pulling a joke there. You know, like why'd you change, baby? Oh, you know, that's the takeoff.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I noticed, like, well, yeah, why the fuck did she change?
You know,
I'm pretty sure they fucked up.
I mean, yeah, they probably did, but like continuity, right? I mean, like in Mark L. Lester's class of 1984, there's the scene with fucking was it Timothy Van Patten, where they got the hooker whose top keeps disappearing and reappearing. But you know, that's
Yeah.
still class of 1984. It's still awesome.
I mean, and also to quote Rocky, it's like him trying to correct the guy about the color of his boxing shorts and the posters with him and Apollo Creed. And he's like, does it matter? It's kind of like,
Well,
no one's going to care because they're going to forget this film.
It's yeah, well, yeah. I mean, like, but you know, like if you did it right, nobody's going to be looking at the shorts, and if you did it wrong, nobody's looking anyway.
Yeah.
There's a reason I bring up Dale Dye. He was an actor in this film. He also wrote the story for this film. He plays the guy with the white mustache, A.K. McNeil. The guy who you're like, hey,
Oh.
look, it's like Tom Skerritt, only not. Look, with no screen presence at all.
I was thinking that the poor man
They
scared.
just have him in those fucking Golan Globus style scenes where he's talking to a screen. It's like the cartel's on the move. Da-da-da-da. We got to move him out. Da-da-da-da. Something, something, something. I guess there's a story in the background. Da-da-da. So he was a real military dude, obviously. You know, he was some kind of big deal, decorated Marine in Vietnam. And he's in the movie industry as a technical advisor, and I guess is an actor tangential to that. So, like, he wrote the story that kicked all this off, and then it went through some other story by guys, and then it went through those writers that I mentioned. The story by guys, by the way, who are uncredited because they never fucking did anything else because they suck. So yeah. Oh, as precious as this movie is, they could have done a little bit more to pull some of it together. Like, I love Tommy Lee Jones, and I just love watching Tommy Lee Jones and hearing him talk there as Brad Little, their mentor. You know, who decides he wants to go on the mission too? Because, like, why the hell not?
Yeah. I want to go with you guys. Come on.
It sounds like fun, you guys. Bring me along. Yeah.
Snarf, snarf.
But Nick Cage is there for vengeance.
You can't go, Little. You're old. You're 40. Oh, no, 40. Oh, no, that's really old. I can't believe it.
Which is one of my favorite lines in this movie. I'm your mother now, Calvin.
I wrote that one down.
I fucking love that. Yeah.
That was pretty great. And it's just like so random in there. It's just like the way he delivers it. It's just like,
yeah, no.
did that just happen?
Brian Kestner as Breaker, not an actor. Yeah, Touchstone saved a lot of money when they cast this movie.
That's still what bothers me. Is this felt like it was a made-for-TV thing?
No,
not a
it's
movie.
because
yeah.
and that's another thing. It's like we have three named stars who have been in theatrically released movies, and then we have well, okay. To be fair, for Tommy Lee Jones' wife, we have Mary Ellen Trainor, who was Gail Wallens in Die Hard, and who was the psychiatrist in Stephanie Woods in Lethal Weapon. So yes. she's like a stock actress in the Joel Silver stable there.
But you also have like TV writers doing the screenplay as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Right back to Birdie on this one.
And yeah, definitely Birdie feeling. But Nick Cage also said at the time, quote, "They were trying to do a rehash of Top Gun and I couldn't fit that bill. I knew when the producers came into the trailer and said, 'We want you to smile more,' that I was miscast."
I'm totally
Smiling
brooding and
my
intense.
thing.
I don't smile. Oh! Oh no, bye-bye!
He did get to have his little Cage fit, sort of like a mini fit when she tells him that she's going to be going into the field.
All alone
Yeah.
in the friend zone.
And yeah, she pretty much says like, "Well, you just have to deal with it, my friend." And he goes, "Friend!"
Then he
Kicks
just-
the
That
air.
was the greatest flirting scene ever, where he gets to say, "I got a great view of your tail.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
on
yeah.
top. You always like me
Oh,
better."
remember you let me on top.
I thought you liked
You gotta take it in hand, Preston. I do have it in hand. Then you don't need me. You're jerking off.
I'm loaded and ready to fire.
Oh god,
You're right. My mom did not fly helicopters. Tell me more about what my mom didn't do. I'd tell you more about it, Jake, but you know what? The screenplay is kind of half-baked, so the scene's ending. She was, by the way, the way she was mic'd in that club scene there did not do her any favors.
No.
They should have done one of those things where everybody has to kind of shout over the music and like had their B music,
Yeah.
you know?
It almost looked a bit Roadhouse-ish.
Oh man, take it outside. Hell yeah. Nicolas Cage, I'm dancing with the lady. I thought you'd be taller. A polar bear fell on me.
He could pull that off.
Dude, if they made a movie that was Top Gun Roadhouse, I would be right the fuck there.
If they just made Roadhouse with Nick Cage in a bear suit the entire time,
I feel like my
I
entire
would be
job is
there
to
day
alienate
one.
our listeners, by the way. So I'm just going to put out there, by the way, everybody, if I haven't made it clear yet, fuck Dirty Dancing. I love Roadhouse.
Yeah.
And obviously, we need to do a Kickstarter to get the Roadhouse Top Gun movie out.
Obviously, goddammit.
Top Bear Roadhouse.
Starring Gary Busey.
Anthony Edwards, if you're listening.
Yeah,
Hey,
just
Meg
slide in
Ryan
your
isn't doing
DMs.
anything lately. How could she refuse?
True.
See, we got ideas, Hollywood. We got ideas.
Oh God, I just had a brain fart or an aneurysm.
Oh.
You could do your bear versus shark, but you could have Nick
No, it's bear
Cage's
versus whale.
mind put into the bear and Busey in the shark, and they just get to voice
Wait,
over
wait,
them
wait,
the
wait, wait,
entire
wait, wait, wait.
film.
We do it just like a talking cat, exclamation point. Is we just use stock footage of Cage, then we get him to talk into like a mini voice recorder and do the voice of the thing for the whole time. It's like, all right, I'm in the bear now. Is this going to take very long? All right.
Oh my God, you could totally interspace.
That's what
There
I was
is a
gonna
pizza
say.
coming
It's
later. We
interspace.
really need to cut this short. I'm going to kill him now.
Yes, just interspace him in a tiny little capsule inside a bear's body.
Oh my god, I am dying to see Gary Busey and Nick Cage together. Oh,
That's what we deserve. Unlike this movie.
God. But
Yo,
who would
Bear!
be the female lead?
No, sir, I
there's
missed the
gotta be
opportunity.
Melissa McCarthy. There, done.
Oh fuck no. Okay, so this movie, like Top Gun, opens with text, right? Except
Oh, right.
in the case of this movie, it's a quote from fucking George Herbert Walker Bush, who was president at the time. So like a little jerk off hand motion right there. You can't see. So we get I think we get the entire opening credits, then we get that, then we get the South America bit with the helicopters, which is flashback because Nicolas Cage is Jake Preston. He's there in the Pentagon explaining why their DEA support helicopter operation went totally bonkers and wrong because that helicopter guy stole or like creamed them and like killed all his friends. So,
Oh, you mean Dan Haggerty?
right? Grizzly Adams versus Top Gun. So watching that, I couldn't help but be reminded of another movie that had a text intro, then badass opening titles, then a battle scene, namely Hal Needham's 1982 masterpiece Megaforce.
Oh, God.
Oh boy.
Despite official denial, sources now confirm existence of Megaforce, a phantom army whose weapons are the most advanced science can devise. Okay, so they should have done it more in that fashion.
Yeah.
The opening titles should have run over badass helicopter action with stuff blowing up, possibly posterized like the Megaforce opening titles.
Yeah.
And then they should have kicked in the dialogue about it going on later, like only partway through, and they should have done that like montaged in over a series of fast cuts, so it's kind of confusing, like that one part in the Manchurian Candidate or something like that. You know, only done in all of the sort of like smoky backlit Tony Scott style close-ups. You know, it's like, when was the point you realized you did not have control of the situation? Well, it was about that time, sir, that the Scorpion helicopter appeared.
Gun bunny.
And I feel like, and the whole thing, the whole movie is very agreed, and all the conflict that we have in the actual movie is all kind of secondhand. Like, I feel like you haven't been fair with me. It's like, I feel like I've been totally fair with you, son. It's just time for us to have another scene now.
Yeah, it really is.
So I feel like that aspect could, is something that could have done with a little bit of escalation. Like maybe it's like, well, all your friends died while you were in South America in that helicopter. It's your fault now. It's like, well, what do you mean my fault? I did everything I could. Patriots, oh! It's like, you're gonna have to fly to prove you can. Dun, 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 dun.
But I feel like
Putting
that
you in
was
hand
part
with
of the
Brad Little,
problem.
and he's the toughest
You didn't-
hombre ever. No.
You didn't have that Cage intensity in this film,
like
though. It's more like,
so his conflict is his
everything I
eye
could.
dominance thing when he's in the bag because the Apache has this stupid shit where you got to look through this dumbass monocle thing, and like look at some heads up display shit, and be able to fly, and he's like the left eye right eye inconsistent thing. So like they added this little made for TV quality sort of a conflict there, and which leads to them like him beating it in like one time driving the Jeep with the panties on his head.
Yeah. Which,
And we learn it's like Tommy Lee Jones went through the exact same thing. It's like, why didn't I think of this before?
Yeah. It's apparently tradition. You have to wear panties on your head while driving at full speed in a Jeep around a base around expensive military equipment.
Right.
But I kind of agree.
0 degrees of
Like,
steering.
with everything you said about this being something that Cage didn't really want to do, he just sold out for money.
Mhm.
I kind of agree with Linda. It's just he does seem like his heart wasn't in it. He's
Well,
just
if
like,
his heart
"Here's
had
my
been in
paycheck,
it,
here I
he
am."
would have done like sort of like he did in other pictures, where he would have like sort of like imposed his will upon it, you know, like a little bit, and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
had
He
impressions
would have
of the
found his
character, you
character.
know, like. I mean, obviously, it's a movie done for money, and like Touchstone Pictures, like we want money too. Let's do a Top Gun.
Yeah. I just would have loved it if he was trying to find his character with random pairs of panties on his head every day on set. Like, what are you?
Like,
I'm getting
inside.
And it's the
of
second
Jake
time
Preston.
that one of his characters are pointed out for having panties on their head.
That's why, son, you got a panty on your head. But he's not H.I. McDonough. He's Jake Preston, and he impressed him.
That's right.
And of course, there's the B story about him, like trying to get back with what's her name?
That's right.
Billy-
Sean Young is an old flame who he's trying to rekindle.
Billy Lee.
And yeah, is Billy Lee Guthrie. Yeah.
Which is
now,
funny because
this
that's her mom's maiden name too, Guthrie.
This is sort of like an early '90s Growing Pains kind of a thing here, where there's an attempt to make a woman like more of a person. So they give her the thing where she's a pilot too. You know, she got her wings, and like he's reluctant. It's almost like a '70s TV movie, by the way.
It is, but
you know,
just very horrible.
This women's lib thing is crap. It's gonna pass. You should have babies like my mom.
But that's the thing, though, because, like, if you, like, upon the second viewing, I realized that there was more of a story there. They just, like, really failed in the execution because they were trying to say that he was this arrogant asshole who was really selfish and just wanted her to have babies and stay in the kitchen where she belongs.
Right.
And then, but then, like, as the story progresses, he sees Tommy Lee Jones's character with his kids, and the mother's not there. It's just him, and he's taking care of them just fine. So it's just like showing that his mentor is doing it just fucking fine. Thank you.
Yeah, no,
And-
there's a lot of attempted themes in there actually. You know,
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
know, like you know, babies must crawl before they can walk. He's giving a baby his bottle. The villain's name is
Yeah.
Stroller. You know, all kinds of stuff.
But then they also have to, like, he learns how to let her go off into the field and take care of herself, and he learns to trust her with that. There's a bunch of crap in there that's like that could have been a good story.
Yeah, it just feels like Touchstone Pictures tried making a canon film and they ended up with an asylum picture.
Yeah, definitely.
It's really the canon film aspects that result in the entertainment anyway. I mean, because that's a new approach to the Top Gun knockoff genre. It's like this time it's drugs, not commies.
Yeah.
Right. And the problem with those two characters was like they both struggled for dominance. And she was saying, like, no, like, the great thing about the military is I don't have to obey anybody's orders except for my superiors. And guess what, bitch? You're not it. You know, basically. And they keep struggling. Like, he doesn't want her to drive. He wants to drive. And...
You're my future wife. I want to keep you safe. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about, like, a struggle for fucking dominance. And then I think he just kind of learns throughout the movie that,
Speaking of dominance,
they can have a compromise. But it's just so poorly executed that, I mean, there's a story there. It's just...
You mean it's not lifelike for a woman to be creeped out because you're trying to be macho and beating up a guy that you were dancing with and then say, let's be friends, then try to make out, and then they say, hey, you forgot your panties, and then just smile and say you can keep them?
Yeah.
It's like, this is not how women act. My star.
Oh, but you passed the bag. Well, let's go. And I'm going to put something on that's easy to take off so we can fuck.
Yeah, well, that was
Yeah, let's get in the sky so we can
but
talk
that's
about
you know that's all contrived, you know, because when he fails the bag the first time, it's like he has a moment to be vulnerable. She's like, oh look, you're kind of off your high horse. Okay,
Yeah.
But then that was also like critiqued heavily too, is the total lack of chemistry between Sean Young and Nick Cage.
Yeah.
Because they're both great actors, but like, I don't know. I just was not
Jeez, you
feeling
mean
it
you
between
weren't into their smoke-heavy
There,
love
there,
scene?
there are ways. There are ways to handle Sean Young, and I feel like this is a venue in which he's inappropriate. It's kind of, oh yeah,
Shit.
it's kind of like seeing like Teresa Russell or Lorraine Bracco like cast in something that's like outside of their like little degree of things where they work, and you're like, oh shit, this is awful. You know, it's like halfway through Medicine Man, you're like, I need me some medicine, man, on account of I'm gonna puke.
But then of course, like, she like ends up saying kind of nonchalantly, like, that she needs him to save her ass. Like, come save my ass.
Okay, so all the shit at the end there. That's where the shit wins me over, and it doesn't matter that the movie was like a completely flawed clusterfuck. Because at the end you get the part where Sean Young goes up to Tommy Lee Jones in the helicopter and he's instructing her about how to put together the rocket launcher. And it's like, you get the cigar box looking thing, you get the comic can looking thing, you get the metal looking thing, and you're now primed. All right, shoot him in the ass. It's like all the Tommy Lee Jones dialogue is retarded. It's all retarded John Wayne gung-ho shit that's kind of like jazzed up by it being said by Tommy Lee Jones, like, you're gonna kill him, son, you're gonna kill him dead or in hell.
I feel like the dialogue in general is just fucked, but I also feel that like Tommy Lee Jones is the only one who just truly fucking rocked it.
Yeah, no, this is a great Tommy Lee Jones moment. This is where he's sort of like coming out there, waving his flag, being like, "This is what Tommy Lee Jones does. Anybody interested?"
Yeah,
you know, it's like
this is where he found his Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, you know, it's just, this is even though it was the Tommy Lee Jones road was a rocky road. Let me tell you. I mean, like fucking that House of Cards thing with Kathleen Turner.
Oh right,
my
yeah.
God damn! Like it's like
it's a rocky road.
It's like something swam up your dick watching that fucking movie.
Yeah. But I did like the one line, when they're celebrating the bag, and he tries to kiss her, and she says, "Patience, anticipation, food." It's like, yeah,
especially
I'm right there with you,
food.
man. Especially food. Get some nachos.
I want me some nachos. We're gonna watch us some Australian rules football later. Oh, homeboy. Mm-hmm. Now what I'm gonna want you to do is give me that bag of cheese balls, but squirt the ketchup right inside there. That's right. Save a step.
Oh hell yeah.
I want a taco in my mouth and a dick in my hand.
Not necessarily in that order.
I didn't know we were going to start quoting me.
We got to pick up Honey Boo Boo at the daycare later on now. Oh. You got to give me one of them double wides. Single wide ain't good enough for this here woman. Actual army
It's
watch.
our anniversary, super size.
I'm gonna kill you. You kill him? I killed him.
I am the greatest.
I am the greatest. Oh, bye.
Oh,
So, you know, that's the first part of this movie I ever saw. I saw part of this on TV once, and I'd heard about this one from Ty, you know, who also basically introduced me to Top Gun and Flight of the Intruder and Iron Eagle.
Well, this is some of the best.
Right? Yeah.
Damn.
I feel a need.
best
A
of the
need
best.
for speed.
So I've had this in my head for like a week now, and like
It must hurt.
all these like different times in my life during this week, it's come up where I want to say, I am the greatest.
and then later on, after Sean Young helps him pass the bag, he tells her that she's the greatest.
Yeah, you're the greatest.
See, no, the torch has been passed. Yeah, no, she's a woman and
it's
she can
all
fly
part
and
of the
she can shoot down jets with a rocket launcher, but she can't kill Stoller. That's Cage's job. That's man
Snort
work
that,
right
sucker.
You snort that
Only Nick
sucker.
Cage could take down Dan
It's like,
Haggerty.
okay, snort that sucker. You can only use that line if you cast Chuck Norris and Cynthia Rothrock. You failed. A film by Joseph
Hit you with
Cito.
so many lefts, you'll beg
Mannheim
for a right.
Golan and Yoram Globus's Firebirds. Also starring Franco Nero. and
Well, I guess
Michael
that takes us into
Pare.
Face Off.
Yeah, who could do this in a face-off?
Well, I'd say fucking Top Gun did it.
Well, no, but come on now, come on. Top Gun is not the one and only. There are others.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not forget. Let's not forget Sir Jason Gedrick, aka Doug Masters from Iron Eagle. You got to be like an Iron Eagle.
How about the poor man Steve Guttenberg, Charles Flesher? I mean, he could have done Cage if he just did the Roger Rabbit voice the entire time.
Oh God. Okay. Well. No. This was 1990. So think about it though. Like if this had been another studio, like if this had gone to what was it? Was it Paramount who had him undercut? No, Warner Brothers. If this had gone to Warner Brothers, they could have had Steven Seagal.
I'm gonna
see what's going to happen here, my
it.
brother, is that I'm going to kill him now. So it's going to be
God damn
actually
it.
very interesting. And Sean Young, I'm just going to need to show you this tantric massage right here. Yeah, it's this very ancient technique. You know, the Dalai Lama actually showed me this. Oh, and your breasts, by the way, I really like them. Yes.
I could have seen Bob Hoskins in this too.
Oh, Bob Hoskins.
As
Bob
Billy Lee.
Hoskins for Tommy Lee Jones.
Yes.
What you're gonna do is
I
you're gonna
would
step
keep
here,
Tommy Lee
here,
Jones.
but not here.
You would have kept him?
I would have totally kept Tommy Lee Jones. I think that he did great. But I would put in Christian Slater instead of Nick
Tommy
Cage.
Lee Jones, who
Yeah,
was
but they
Al
had to
Gore's
save
roommate.
him for Broken Arrow.
He could do both. Oscar nominated Broken Arrow.
Fucking piece of shit.
Oh, come on. How is that a terrible movie?
By the way, there's this whole other plot about terrorism being funded by an Italian car manufacturer. I'm going to blow up this bomb with grenades. Negative, sir. You will return your key. What's that? We're not even characters. I don't understand how you hold a gun on me in this scene. No, sir. I repeat, there is a plot. Honest. It's just way in the background. Oh, my life. I don't even know if my character has a name. You're trying to shoot me right now? I don't even understand. There's butterflies.
God.
Maybe there's no radiation.
Mm-hmm.
We could take this in a whole other direction and cast Tony Danza. Fucking do it.
But we should save him for the Robot
I say we treat this movie as the straight-to-video sequel to itself and cast Treat Williams.
Hell yeah.
Hell, this could have been like Top Gun, an unofficial sequel for all you know.
Yeah, Top Gun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It could have just been like the Troll 2 of Troll and had nothing to do with Top Gun and jets, but had to be completely to do with helicopters.
Or as they pronounced it at one point, helicopters.
Yes, the
A heliocopter aeroplane. Boy, I'd like to get a ride in one of those. That's right. No, this should have been in Whirly Birds, the movie.
Oh my god, if they had cast Robert Downey Jr. as this character from Tropic Thunder in this instead of Tommy Lee Jones.
You're all ripped up like Rambo 2.
Like, this would have been great.
Well, I think these were his drug-addled years, weren't they? I mean,
yes, it was.
just the beginning
let's be real. Like most of his years were the drug-addled years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like how else do you explain that other Tommy Lee Jones opus, U.S. Marshals?
Yeah.
It's like
I needed the money.
It's like you trapped Tommy Lee Jones, Wesley Snipes, and Robert Downey Jr. in an elevator. Forced them to make a movie, U.S. Marshals.
Well, we all know why Wesley Snipes was there.
Yeah. The taxmans are coming. They won't let me make Blade 4.
Come at us, but that man knows a lot of kung fu.
Yeah, he does. You don't fuck with Wesley.
And he's free.
Well, he should have given in and done New Jack City too.
Yeah.
There's much more to explore there.
And I was going to say, with all the text in the beginning of this movie, having just recently rewatched Penitentiary 2, I'm thanking every power in the universe that another movie has not had an opening monologue that long. That movie, it's like there's like 8 paragraphs of stuff they could not film that they had to give you in
they got to give you the backstory between Penitentiaries 1 and 2.
Yes, exactly.
You know,
It's like, here's all the shit we
what they
wanted to
should have
film,
done
but
is they
couldn't
should have
film.
done the TV edit of David Lynch's Dune, where you have the crayon drawings and like thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
The Mentats, human computers. Meanwhile, Darth Vader on the ice planet Hoth.
Oh, my God. If Toto had scored this movie, it might have been fun. So I guess we're at wisdom, I guess? Is there wisdom?
The wisdom is that contemplate the panties when they are thrown to you. Don't just be Tom Jones and assume they're there because you're sexy. Take in the panties and think maybe this means something. I will need it later. Take only what you bring.
This is important. It's like, friends can fondle friends' panties.
I have been friend zoned and it is fine, for I can fly helicopters now.
It sounded like he actually was learning quite a bit at this time, because he said, quote, "The 80s for me were really a learning process. I started off when I was 17 and I didn't know what I was doing. I still don't, but in a way I like that. I've had to learn publicly about film, and it's a trial and error thing. The 90s are more exciting for me because I feel a bit more in touch with what it is I want to do."
This from the same man who gleefully got to shout out my favorite line: shoot 'em, blast 'em, nab 'em, grab 'em, shake 'em, bake 'em, cook 'em, clean 'em, twist 'em, kick 'em, all gone, bye-bye!
Bye-bye!
Oh, fuck me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You want some strawberry gum?
No, I'll
a
drive.
quarter.
Cue music.
Actually, I was able to pick a little wisdom, I guess. I guess
do
I'd
please.
say never be afraid to ask for help, and healthy relationships are all about compromising as a team.
Also, South
And
America
panties.
is a state of mind because it looks exactly like Arizona.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yes, and I believe that maybe drug cartels have a really good medical plan as well as Air Force.
You know, drug
Yeah.
cartels, they spend the money where it counts because they know you got to spend money to make money. However, they do put all their eggs in one basket because they put all their riches into one meeting that is easily defeated by Air Force support for the DEA.
Yeah, and I'm kind of trying to think, if you're trying to do drug deals, I thought those were kind of, you want to be under the radar, so having helicopters and a little private airstrip for fighter jets to go from as well may not be really that quiet.
I think this is
Maybe
really
leaders
cute
of,
from the Don't Say No era too, when really the clandestine drug dealer meetings for the South American drug wars were probably just held in the United States.
True.
Could any leaders
Yes,
of drug cartels that are listening just, slide into our DMs and let us know?
we have a Patreon.
Yeah.
We might.
We
I
would
don't
like
know.
a helicopter.
I want to pet a tiger.
Uncle Escobar, you're the greatest.
Yeah, today's episode is brought to you by 3 keys of cocaine.
This
would you
movie
give
led
me
me
for
to
a
believe that
basket full of
drugs are
cocaine?
bad, but it didn't actually show me anybody doing drugs, so how do I know?
Yeah, drugs are bad when you run out of them.
Two hands in only one mouth. I have an elderly mother. She's 80 years old, and she doesn't need glasses. She drinks it right out of the bottle.
Yeah, who needs teeth anyway?
They just get in the way.
This is the time I say please listen, follow, rate, and review Cage's Kiss on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and YouTube. Remember, you can find Cage's Kiss on Facebook and on Twitter at Cage's Kiss. You can visit our website at cageskiss.com, and you can write to us at cageskiss@gmail.com. Donnie, you got any plugs?
No pugs or plugs. Just you can find me at Unreal Goals on Twitter or on the street, slinging it for cheeseburgers. That's about it for me.
Yeah, well, I'm still Leo the Fox on deviantart.com, and that does get updated. And lately, I have been updating my YouTube under AA Smith, where I tell you which local bookstores you should be shopping at because you have no choice in the matter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
And, I have to say, I talked to somebody this weekend who had the amazing idea for a face-off remake. He thinks that they should remake the movie shot by shot, but have the Olsen twins in it instead of Nick Cage and John Travolta. I have to agree. I think it's one of the greatest ideas I've heard.
No. Face Off too. This time it's Nicolas Cage versus Judd Nelson.
Oh my god. I think Nick Cage already won. But we'll be seeing you next week with Industrial Symphony No. 1, The Dream of the Brokenhearted.
That's the one we know you didn't see.
Broken farted.
Who have love that's not departed.
Well, I got a pocket full of quarters, and I'm going to take us all on a drive to an arcade.
Snort that, sucker.
I am the greatest. I am the greatest.
I am the greatest.
I'm a champion.
I've done it.
I'm your mother now, Kelvin.
I could eat a peach for hours. Please.